Welcome everyone to my stream here on Twitch and lichess. International Master Willam Paschall. It is not exactly beautiful weather here for the national holiday in Budapest. It's like drenching rain. It's been that way since my stream last night. How is it where you guys are? Good morning, it's 10 a.m. Actually, I'm 2 minutes late. Sorry about that, guys. Forgot, kind of lost track of the time here. Alright. Grandmaster 57 was saying he was going to come back and challenge me. But he's not a subscriber, so I can't guarantee anything. We've got, to get started with the subscriber challenges and others. Morales, Constant Change is not a subscriber. Mastermind, not a subscriber. So we'll play Morales, Arsenal Fan, Melody Marathon, and Mule Skinner first. Again, no guarantees if you guys are not subscribers. Actually, even if you are a subscriber, I can only play about 10 games per stream. Mule Skinner says, in the south of Spain we have nice weather. That's to be expected, I guess. I'm kind of jealous. Alright, E4. Morales, also from Spain. Let's play G6. I'm not warmed up here. I would like to have played a warm-up game, but I didn't really have enough time this morning. So just enough time to get the stream started. We had the simul last night. I did that ridiculous resignation against Soltigo. It was weird. I really don't know why I thought I was lost. I actually thought I was lost in, like, you know, there's two variations that are totally winning for me. And I, like, hallucinated that both were bad. That's why I resigned. But, I mean, it's really weird because it's just a kind of standard. It's like a standard position. Let's try something a little different outside the ordinary here. Because of C3, we could play D5 and maybe transpose to a C3 Sicilian. Yeah, Arsenal fan. Well, you can guess by his name if you know football. An Arsenal fan is probably not from the U.S. I mean, I guess you can be nowadays. European football is gaining popularity, probably in the U.S. as well. But I've got to chip away at the center here, playing this the way I did with D5. I don't know why I did this. It's just like something that I'm used to playing this kind of structure from the Accelerated Dragon. C3 Sicilian with G6. The only problem here is that I've played Bishop G7. I'd really rather, you know, in some cases rather actually have not played that. It can be useful to actually develop it on this diagonal, like in a Gurgenidze Caro-Kann style game. Alright, I'm delaying this business with the D4 pawn. I think he's going to have problems with his pawn. But I don't know if I should... Nah. Nah. I don't know what I should do. Probably just play E6. If I play Queen B6, Bishop takes D5. I have to calculate that, and I'm not awake yet. A lot of Europeans like NFL, American football. It's very popular. It's a totally different sport. They don't view it as like competition for you know, normal like soccer, traditional football. It's not like they view it as a infringement on the traditional football. I think people just view it as a different sport, which is probably the right way to view it. I do have F6 now. I kind of like that. You could even consider taking with a knight on F6. Could even consider taking with the queen on F6, which is craziness. Wow, that's pretty insane. Let's try it. This is going to be kind of funky. We're taking advantage of the fact that our bishop is on G7, sort of armed. armed pressure against e5 immediately. Much more traditional to play something like queen b6 there. Ayesta, what's up? Ayesta, our game yesterday, I don't know. I feel like I should have a way to play for a win there, but I'm quite unsure about it. Queen takes f6. Leaves him with no way to defend his pawn. This is pretty crazy. I've never had a game quite like this. Despite playing this opening for many, many years, well, a version of this type of opening, this exact move order not. The moment of truth now. If I take the pawn, what's his plan? I mean, I can even castle queenside, I guess, in an emergency. What's he going to do? Knight takes d4, bishop takes d4, queen takes d4. He doesn't even have a really good move there. I'm a little concerned about queen e2, I guess. Queen e2. Would be best to make one more developing move. Of course, then he's gonna... Okay, it doesn't matter. What he's gonna do, I don't care. Taking the pawn, take queen e2. I was a little bit afraid of ghosts. Hard to protect the e6 pawn. Then the computer will say, like, I don't know, king f7, but now I can take the pawn again. Still we have problems with that. We still have problems with that pawn, so let's go. Outlet 369 challenges today. Yeah, we're doing our usual thing. Owlet closely related to Towlet. Owlet. Interesting name. Alright. What am I doing? Why didn't I take that pawn? I was scared of ghosts. There was first the ghost of queen e2, and then... Well, there's always ghosts against my backwards e6 pawn. You know, all the time in this type of position, so... You know, daring me to castle queenside... I mean, I'm probably just castling kingside here. I tried to do like a chess 960 castle. Knight to d5 played a cheater today. It's usually easy to tell when they did it 5 times in a row. That's the easiest kind. That's the best kind, knight to d5. Easy to spot, and they don't even care. I'm more concerned with the devious ones that are like centaur, strong humans that are also using computers at the same time. Alright, so we can grab the pawn. He grabs on b7. We've got an exchange sacrifice on f3, which we can't do, or we can do. We can't do because my a8 rook will be hanging. We take everything, and he's grabbing on b7. At the end of the day, though, I win the b2 pawn. He's always going to have counterplay no matter what I do. Oh, man. I feel like I should have probably taken the d4 pawn the very first time. The very, very first time when he had queen e2, queen takes b2, queen takes e6 check, or something crazy like that. What if I played like rook b8? Then what happens there? Or rook f7? He's got all sorts of things with bishop g4. Bishop g4 is annoying. Unfortunately, this looks kind of drawish. You could also play bishop g4, or maybe like rook e1 there. He has a lot of moves actually. Queen takes b2. Well, I think this is my best chance. At least I'm temporarily up a pawn here with very little risk. But I'm afraid that it's going to be a draw because there's ops-colored bishops and not that many pawns left. Well, I don't think it's that Stockfish is stupid with endgames, Rich. I think it takes it a while to, you know, to reach its horizon. People are even more stupid with endgames than computers. All right. Rook e8. If I take the two rooks, it's going to be kind of a tough position for both sides there. Oh man, I don't know. I'm not sure about this move though. It may just maybe blundering my a7 pawn. There I have a trap though. Morales is pretty fast. Played him a lot. 23 games now. Table bases, right. Well, the computers have table bases. You can buy like separate table bases as well. Okay, that's another pawn, but he's going on my 7th rank, so I can't let him play rook b7. Well, maybe I could, but it's getting pretty nasty around here. How about rook a8? Take the pawn. He's awfully fast. Is he like a bullet pro or something? He's 1500 in bullet, 1800 in blitz, 2100 in classical. I don't usually like to see that much difference in the ratings, but we can trust Morales. If he was a stranger, I would be concerned about that rating differentiation. How am I going to hold this pawn now? I've got to play rook e8. We have a spectator, Squeaky Cheese. Squeaky Cheese doesn't seem to know I'm streaming, I guess, or who knows. One spectator. That's awesome. Now, unfortunately, I'm kind of screwing this up. That last move was pretty dubious. I just have no good defense against rook b7. That's why I lost on time. I couldn't find it in time. I'm right on the edge of losing this. Morales is seems to be getting better. I don't know. It's possible he just plays with the. I don't know. I mean, he's pretty strong. let's see the whole game here briefly. I was scared to take this pawn. Yeah, bishop takes d4, queen takes d4, king, queen e2, king f7 is kind of unclear. Alright, anyways, I lost on time. That's life. Next game, Arsenal fan Richie. I'm not really warmed up yet, but Morales' time usage really is pretty overwhelming, dude. I mean, for a guy who's 1800 in blitz. I don't mind like losing, but you know, he's like holding me on the board and outplaying me on the clock, which is pretty impressive. Pretty impressive there, buddy. For a guy who's 1800 in blitz. G3. Playing a little too much of this though. I'm getting kind of bored of this, although it's nice to see Richie playing something different, you know, and I've never had games just like this against him. I've had many games with this setup against the other players, but Rich never really played d5, so I kind of enjoy it when it's someone new. Though I'm getting a little bored of these Catalan Reti. When we play, do we put the stream off? It's up to you. It really is. You know, whatever you prefer. Now I have one spectator again. The thing is, my games are unrated, so we don't attract the lichess TV. No, Bob, I just mean to sound like people play really freaking well for their rating. I mean, 1800 usually just collapse like bunnies against me here, you know? So it's kind of like, is Morales really 1800? My score against 1800s in blitz tournaments, like on lichess, is like 99.9%. Alright, I guess, what was the time control of that game though? Was it 8+3 or 6+3? It's actually, the thing is he's playing so fast. Arsenal fan Rich, I had a game like this against someone else. I just don't like to look bad, Bob. And when 1800s play like 2200s, you know, it makes me look bad. Yeah, Bob, you are reading into it. You're also reading into the trolls last night a little too much. You're seeking conspiracy theories. Provocateur. Castles. This is a setup that I never really thought should be right for black. The very quick fianchetto on the queen side with no king side development, but I looked up one of my blitz games that went by this move order, and surprisingly quite a number of decent players had played this. I mean, I don't think this is like a really in the books a standard way for black to play, delaying castling for so long. But I mean, for a player who hasn't memorized a lot of theory, I think what Rich is doing here is pretty logical. So I want to develop the pieces as actively as possible. That's why knight c3, I prefer to play that move in the Catalan type of structures. If you play knight bd2 or something like that, you're usually getting quite a more passive setup. I don't really like losing games, and getting flagged, not my favorite thing to do. But Morales played pretty well. His classical rating is 2100. Well, I don't know why his blitz rating is 1800. I mean, if his blitz rating was like 2100, I would kind of accept losing to him, but the low blitz rating is like, how can he like beat me on time with that blitz rating? Anyways, knight to c3. Alright, a lot of people I guess lower their blitz ratings by playing in like, you know, playing in tournaments here, and maybe he's just berserking a lot in random blitz tournaments. If you do berserking in arenas, on a regular basis, I guess you'll find that most of the players are probably, the players that berserk constantly are probably like 200 rating points lower than what they should be. You know, if you take like King Crusher, for instance, he's not a great player. He's not a bad player. You know, he's like 2200 FIDE. He's like 2200 here. He would probably be like 2400 in Blitz if he didn't berserk every single game. It probably cuts off your rating about 200 points. I wish that was the story. My excuse. What am I doing here, though? 95 just seems to trade pieces. This actually, I think this probably transposes to like a mainline Catalan, some sort of mainline Catalan, to like knight on BD7. Well, he should play Blitz if he can play that. He actually, Morales has been consistently fast against me, to be fair. I'm just not really warmed up. Let's see. I don't like losing the first game. It wasn't lost, but it was tricky. I saw two rooks coming down on the 7th, and I didn't see a defense. The computer was saying rook c8. I still don't understand. I still don't know that I understand what my defense was. I have something on the back rank. I guess I have something on the back rank with bishop e5, that first game. Wow, Rich is going into super solid Catalan mode. I think I had a game a little bit like this a couple of years ago. I made a pretty costly mistake. I do that a lot. I do have a tendency to do that. I wish I was perfect. But yeah, I can't remember now, Bob, the exact move numbers. I probably made a lot of mistakes. I was very wishy-washy. Every move, there was like this capture that didn't quite work on d4. Then by the time I took, it was like equal. Just to draw. Wow. You could easily find this game, probably. You could easily find this. It looks like a theoretical type of move, knight h5. You could easily find the game probably in the database. A couple of grandmasters playing this position. I like knight h5. I mean, it seems like a reasonable move. Should I play? What should I play here? The problem is, okay, maybe e3. Am I going to lose a pawn, though, at the end of the day? After e3, knight takes f4. e3, knight takes f4, pawn takes f4. f6, where do I retreat my knight? I'm going to lose the c4 pawn. I think that Arsenal fan is a natural Queen's Gambit Decline player. Bob, I don't know what you're talking about. I mean, I don't think that anybody was ever winning by two points. You mean like 0.2 or something? I mean, nobody was ever like decisively winning my game against Morales. You mean like 0.2 for something like that? It's not like somebody was up 2 pawns, were they? I was winning by 2.4. Then I missed something. But I'm trying to concentrate on another game now, so it's a little bit difficult to have this conversation about the other game. This is why I'm going to lose this game now, because we're having a conversation about the other game. Let's focus on the game at hand. I want to make e3 work somehow. Just don't see it happening. I'm going to lose on time again. So welcome everybody. Arsenal fan here, taking to the black side of the Catalan like he played it all his life. Closed Catalan. I've got to watch out for pawn takes pawn, queen takes. Doesn't look like a problem though. F6, then I can retreat back either way to d3 or f3, probably f3 to keep the d4 pawn protected. I mean, f6 is a very double-edged move because it would weaken the e6 pawn. I just want to try to play quality games. I don't care so much about like if I win or lose. Tomorrow night we have a viewer tournament. I think I'm going to do 5+2 time control. 5+2 sounds reasonable. It's like a compromise between longer and shorter time controls. Bishop d6, targeting my f4 pawn. That's pretty nasty. I think I'm going to have to take on d5 at some point to avoid these silly like bishop a6 tricks, which I really don't want to do. On the other hand, he doesn't have that, does he? Well, he would have e3, bishop a6 though. So I can sacrifice the exchange. Now he's really threatening f6. e3, bishop a6. With the idea bishop takes e5 and takes on c4. Damn. I really don't want to take on d5, and now because of this, like, I practically have to. I guess I could play c5, but that's super inflexible. I guess I have to take on d5 and have no advantage. Wonderful. Very, very good move. Bishop d6. e3. Bishop takes e5. No, e3, bishop a6 we said. Other possibility would be like rook d1, then f6. I don't like it. Rook d1, f6. I don't feel like I have anything now. There goes any advantage I had. There's very little white can do. I don't have that many plans and that many maneuvers available. My space advantage is like basically symbolic. I don't think the white has an advantage at all. But I've run into problems with this once or twice before, being unable to get an advantage against this type of formation. If you look it up, there, as I said in the beginning of the game, there's a number of games with this early b6. It's not like a traditional book line. The other way was much safer for him to recapture with the c pawn. Much more solid, like I've got 0 there. Unless I can play f5, which looks kind of risky. But now I think that black's position is a little harder to play, a little more imbalanced than taking with the c pawn. Play c5. c5 for who? The only way I can attack on the king side would be, you know, to like use the g file, but it's pretty one-dimensional. Alright, well, anyway, now it just kind of looks like a normal position. White might be a little bit better here. I'm looking at sacrifices on d5. I don't see anything special there. I might miss something, though. Yesterday I resigned in a winning position. One of my games. This exchange, though, doesn't really feel right. To exchange on e5, I think Rich is rushing a little bit because of the time pressure. I don't even know which way to take back, honestly. This will keep his queenside pawns more in check. The pawn diamond. But it's a game. I still, I like white, but I don't think it's that clearly dominating. Of course, now we can think about a kingside attack a little more realistically for white. F5. But I do have to organize myself. My position wasn't really that designed for kingside. I was sort of supposed to play the whole board here. And black remains pretty solid in actuality. So, I don't know about this. It's easy to get carried away. This looks kind of risky. F4. I don't know what to do. It's a bad idea, probably. Okay, let's just centralize everything. I'm gonna bring my queen back. Maybe try to move toward the king side. But Owlet's suggestion of a kingside attack, if he was talking about white, is definitely more appropriate now than it was before. With this pawn diamond in the center, and nullifying his bishops don't look all that dangerous. I've got the G file, some attacking chances, though black is still solid. It's going to be hard to win by force. We do have a space advantage now. I mean, I think that Rich was fine until he exchanged on e5, which helps me a lot. The other question is recapturing with the pawn on d5. With the c pawn is much safer. So he made a risky move, and then he made a kind of mistake, and still his position is not lost, probably. I just want to transfer that. That's kind of a weird move. He wants to play c5, I guess. I want to transfer all my forces over to the king side. Yeah, he's still not lost. He's like me in the first game, just losing on time in a worse position. But white has a pretty serious advantage now. But I think if you go back 5 moves, white doesn't have any advantage here. When he played knight takes e5, he gives me the advantage. Pretty much anything else, and black's at least equal. Okay, so now we're going to play Melody Marathon, another subscriber along with Mule Skinner. But Arsenal, it was fine, you know. Again, just c takes is more safe, but still, I think what you did is okay. Just that capture on e5 isn't good. Not enough time. I never get to play against knight f3. It's starting to piss me off. I really want to play against knight f3, but the only games I get where white goes d4 are always Nimzo Indian. Oh, Melody Marathon played this line with me earlier. Was it last week's Simul or another game? Wasn't it the same variation? Yeah, he took on c5 which is a little bit unusual at an early stage. But I think this is one of the best ways to play for black in the Rubinstein variation. Rubinstein being the 5 knight e2 against c5. There's a lot of confusion about the naming of these variations. In some books, like they call like well, it actually may be true. Like 4e3 is called Rubinstein system in some books, and maybe, you know, maybe that's valid as well. I don't know. But as far as I learned, like, the Rubinstein system is 5 knight e2. Beat yourself up a little bit, Rich. What a horrible game. No, he played fine. He just like me lost on time, in a difficult position. Blue Crow, welcome to the stream. Good to see you. I've got a bunch of challenges. If knight to d5 guy comes back, there he is. I can't guarantee you're going to make it, knight to d5. We've got challenges with Mule, Skinner, and Bob next. Those are the only subscribers, I think, challenging me. You know, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong. Then Mastermind, Arthur, Beer Boy, GRSA, and knight to d5. Queen c2, wow. I think if queen e7, it might actually transpose to a game I had. But queen e7 is not really the most logical move here. It doesn't fit in that well in this type of system. This was a game where I played 4 queen e7 as kind of a lark on a lark, just to take my opponent out of theory. He thought for half an hour and then did something like this. But queen c2 is a move that controls the center a bit, and I want to control the center as well. Okay, what is the deal with queen c2? I mean, what is he trying to do with that? Clear the d file? Like, play for pressure along the d file? Difficult to understand exactly. I mean, putting my bishop on b7 feels natural. Now I can put pressure on d4 with knight to c6. d4 looks difficult to protect. But one knight would the knight would get in the way of the bishop pretty badly on c6. So force him to take on c5, then maneuver my knight around like to e7 and g6 or something. Yeah, it's interesting. Let's go for it. He must have been expecting this move because he instantly took. Of course, if you listen to the stream, you can kind of cheat a little bit, but I'm not sure. You know, sometimes I'll tell lies and stuff on purpose, so be careful. If you're listening to the stream, you're trying to pick up hints, and I pick up on it, I will commentate falsehoods to try to catch you, telegraphing my moves. Oh man. You're welcome. Everybody's well. What's this? GRSA man, of course you're welcome. Yeah, we know you missed the simul. Everybody knows you missed the simul. Knight to c6, d takes c, b takes c. That's like when I blundered against Lambidol and lost in 15 moves. I always tell the story how Ivanov told me, my friend Alexander told me, yes, Bill, everyone saw bishop a5 except for you. And it just really stung, you know. It's like, damn, dude, that's pretty harsh. But he just tells it like it is. That's the way it is. That's the way he operates. No sympathy. Political refugee. Bishop e2. What should we do? Like knight e5? I gotta clear the diagonal. F4. I'll walk into f4 that way. I originally was planning this. We're gonna transfer this knight over here. Quite an unusual type of formation. And Melody Marathon, very accurate move. Like not bishop d3 giving me knight e5, but bishop e2. I could play d5. This is going to be a risky structure for me. I could even play h5, honestly, if I really want to go nuts. I mean, obviously that's a tad anti-positional. But I think justified to a certain extent. But he's going to have knight e4 available. But maybe too slow. And now the d file starts to become an issue. So, one can never knows. It's a risty. It's a risty structure. I think it's too time consuming. Yeah, the fancy disinformation stream hooks, right. Well, that's what I don't normally have to do. I'm kind of out of practice with those. But I'm just thinking Melody Marathon might be the kind of player who takes advantage of my stream hints. F3, we've got to go d5, I think, at this point. Get a little bit of control of the center. I was waiting to castle. Yeah, you could do something more reserved, but I'm going to be backwards along this file pretty unpleasantly. So he was a little hesitant last move with f3, by the way. I really thought he's got a wide variety of possibilities here. Even f4, rook d1, e4. Okay, e4, maybe I'll bounce back through c6 into d4. Maybe that's a problem. I'm not sure. Bishop d2. He has a million moves, basically. He played f3, which isn't bad. Just looks a little bit passive. Perfectly okay positionally, though. Perfectly passive. But I don't mean to diss it. It's actually not a bad move. I mean, it's controlling the center. It's nullifying my bishop on b7 and whatever. It's a complicated game. Black has a good center, but my pieces are a little strangely organized. Then again, his have some problems too. He can't really develop his queenside very actively. Notice my d5 pawn is like mega protected. Now, we may see combinations of the likes of like knight takes d5 rearing their ugly heads about now. There's also the fact that my c5 pawns, so the hanging pawns are the big question now. We need to take care of the hanging pawns. Okay, the combination I mentioned with knight takes d5, you know, I don't know, objectively maybe it's not that dangerous. Bishop b6 is even interesting. I'm not pinning anything any longer, obviously. So, pin it and win it. We could even play d4. Looks pretty extreme. Tough to decide here. Just a position with tons of possible candidate moves, really. Very difficult to narrow it down to to like one move. I mean, you really have to just kind of pick. The knight on g3 is actually doing a good job protecting his king side from things like bishop to c7. So white's position looks kind of modest, but it's actually fairly decent, I think. No time for h5, h4, and that kind of stuff. I want to play rook c8, I guess, but I'm concerned about something here. Knight takes d5, as I mentioned. Knight takes d5, knight takes d5, e4. And I could play knight takes no. Knight takes no. Maybe I should get out of the pin, but how? How do I get out of the pin comfortably? Yet another question. I don't know. I don't know about this move. This is kind of tricky, creating some additional threats against his king on g1 in the event of e4. Down to 3 minutes. Looks like I've yet to beat Melody Marathon. We don't know how strong he is. I'm not sure if he ever said what his actual rating is. I like it when people are open about their identities and things like that, but I can't force you guys to reveal your secrets. But it gives us a sense of community if we have a little bit of and I'm obviously not anonymous. All right. So he just played king h1. Very sensible move. I don't like my my pin being pinned here. Is starting to really bug me. This knight takes d5 thing, I mean, he could have played it last move, honestly. Tactically, I'm pretty sure it works. It also leaves me with a bad structure at the end of the day, so maybe he should have taken his opportunity to play knight takes d5 to give me an isolated c-pawn long term, you know? FIDE 1624. The main pots are in this chat. Blue Crow, see you later. Sorry you can't play today. Taking the c knight, then played h5, so my e knight can look pretty on f5. Well, as I was saying, Owlette, like this position does lend itself to many, many possibilities. This type of position. You know, one of the things I like about the Nimzo Indian is that your pawns are kind of flexible and you usually have like tons of plans available. And there's lots of room for individual styles to choose. It's not a fixed center type of opening, you know. Like last game, Arsenal fan Richie played the black side of the Catalan. I mean, it's a fixed center, you know. What can you do? I mean, the play is pretty restricted. Now e4, this is very combative, allowing me a passed pawn on d4 potentially, or I can take on e4. Just have the bishops. I think I like this better. I don't know. Trade one knight and then just play with my bishops open. If I do it the other way, I was really kind of feeling like I'm shut down. Wait again with a better structure. We're gonna have problems with our c-pawn, right? Also the clock. I mean, I guess I could try to sack a pawn to open both bishop diagonals. The diagonals of both bishops, in other words. Maybe we have some kingside threats, sort of. But I don't want to just like trade down into ending where he's just better here. This was the same thing that could have happened if he had done the temporary sacrifice on d5. He just leaves me with an isolated c-pawn. He also has knight g5 here. Hopefully that's not a problem. I didn't really calc it. I mean, I can go back knight f6 there. Doesn't look like the end of the world. F5 is kind of risky. This is almost like he's setting it up. Knight f4. I'll have to play... No, I've got to play, I guess, rook d8 now. It's starting to look really dangerous for me. Not the best square for my queen, probably. Kind of lucky I even had a tactic to simplify. Looks like I was on the verge of being lost completely. Technical ending. Well, it may still be slightly better, but I do have the open file. I think I missed a fork there. Keep everything united when you have strange material distribution. You got to keep the two pieces united and coordinated. That's the key. Hopefully there's no stalemate tricks. Alright, I was lucky there. We were probably close to losing, if not lost at some point. Yeah, that was fortunate. Let's see the opening here. This isn't really common. Queen c2, very rare move. Mikhail Zaitsev, whoever that is. Sounds like a strong player, but yeah, like the engine is suggesting h5 here. That's the normal way to punish a knight on g3. Would have been interesting. Yeah, apparently he was winning. Winning here with knight to d6, which I saw in blitz, but I really couldn't evaluate what was going on. So he actually drops the rook, but he takes everything with check, and he's like winning. All right. So it was a back and forth time struggle. Yul Skinner is up next, and Bob. If anybody else is a subscriber that I'm not recognizing, let me know, okay? Because you guys can play first. Yul Skinner, we played so many games, 122. That is awesome. On Wednesday, I do my weird opening stream, so we're going to save the funky openings for Wednesday. Last time Yul Skinner did something a little different than usual. Let's play a6 for something different. He likes to play the Grand Prix attack, and the Grand Prix attack is not supposed to be very good against a6. That was a really complicated position, though. In time pressure and pre-time pressure. Really a lot of possibilities. So, okay, it's not like a traditional Grand Prix now. I have one of my students recently played a game like this with black where white didn't defend his e4 pawn and black eventually won it by playing b4. g3 now. I think even g4 might have been played by like Aronian long ago. You're going to re-challenge as black. Bob, feel free. A lot of you guys secretly challenge me to like colors. I can't see. It's funny, you can't see when someone's, you know, specifically challenge you to a color challenge like black or white. It would be good to, it should notify you that, really, like, you know, so you know you're not, you know you're specifically getting challenged to a specific color. It should say like black or something like that. Being picayune. It's now like a normal closed Sicilian, I guess. d5 am I supposed to play? Or knight f6 first? Yul Skinner, I don't have much experience in this type of formation. I only read about it in a book, and I played 1 or 2 games prior to this in this type of line. I'm not even sure if knight f6 is right, to be honest. I did see my friend Zlatko Linčić play a game this spring in the first Saturday IM tournament against some Kazakh guy who was pretty good. The Kazakh guy was white and my friend Zlatko was black. It was something like this. Zlatko got a good position and then he bungled it somehow. Karo Khan. The circle next to the challenge shows if you'll be white, black, or random. The circle next to the challenge? Are you serious? If you'll be white, black, or random? Well, what does it tell you? What does the circle tell me? It's just a circle. I never really thought about it. Am I an idiot? What does that circle tell me? Those mean random challenges? And what does it mean? Okay, I'll be random. I mean, what does that tell me? It's just a green circle. Okay, d5, white's move. Just Pro, are you serious? Why did I never know this? But how does it look if it's like a challenge where they want to play black? I'm colorblind. Everything looks green to me. We take with the knight now? I'm asking you guys because I'm not sure. I have a feeling like you can take with the pawn. Maybe I should take with the pawn. I'm really not sure. My recapture looks a little half-hearted. And then I don't know. Take with the queen or take with the bishop? Bishop. The bishop is like weird recapture, kind of. Pawn takes, blocking my own bishop is just not attractive. I thought the circle was showing if the player is online or not. Yeah, I'm confused about the circle thing. Is that the circle you're talking about? Not the challenge list? Then where? Oh, you're talking about like on the you know, on the search map? I mean the challenge search in the beginning? Like under play? You know, they're the list of challenges? Okay, that's another story. But I'm just talking about here, you know, when someone challenges me, is there any way I can know if like Bob is challenging me to play, you know, specifically with black? That's what I was talking about. Maybe I should develop my king side first. Just in case the e file opens up. If I play knight d7, he might be able to play something like f5. If I have a choice, let's do bishop e7 first, then castle king side. It looks like a standard King's Indian attack type of thing where the position is, it's about dead level. No way to tell if black or white. Okay, in the challenge list. Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay. Those green circles are weird though. The green circle just means like the other person is alive. It means he joined the game, but then what does this mean? He joined the site? Like, weird. The weird green what are those weird green circles for, Thibault? Can you tell me, please? Piss off the administrators with like stupid questions. I'm out of here. Now he can even play knight e5. Knight e5. What am I gonna do? Like rook a7? I'd rather not play castles. I would rather have played knight d7, I guess. So I could meet knight e5 with knight takes knight. But what's done is done. He can play knight e5. Knight e5, bishop takes g2, queen takes g2 bothers me a little bit. You know, then I have to do, wow, c4. Ooh. Well, I'm not taking it. You can guarantee yourself of that. You could potentially make yourself backwards on the file here. So I think this is an anti-positional move that may have a tactical point. We shall see. But again, I do have this rook a7 idea if I have to. Knight e5, rook a7 is even, it's even a legit move probably for black. Attacking my c pawn now. Don't want to block my bishop on b7. I still think it's dead equal. It's not that big of a handicap, this pawn. The Wi-Fi signal describes their lag, but is that a Wi-Fi signal? They're online and challenge ready. They're definitely challenge ready if they're like challenging me. You know, I would assume that people who are challenging me are online and challenge ready. Yeah, I think it's just there. It's just a green circle. We don't have to. There's the, like, you know, signal, connection signal, which is cool. Rook d1. He's online and d-file ready. How about a good square for my queen? The problem is queen b6 walks into b4, and queen c7 is the c file. So I don't really have a good place to put my queen. But maybe if we calculate, can find a way out of the maze of complications here. Queen e8 is always available. The Al-Mashi Catalan solution. We could also just develop our rook. I'm a little concerned about d4 now. Like, seriously. Queen e8 is not that absurd. Maybe the solution is queen b8 is kind of awkward. But that's life. It's like a queen's gambit accepted. Queen b8, queen e8. There's no place to put my queen. Muleskin are a highly sophisticated, closed Sicilian player So Chess Pro, he says his FIDE rating is 1600s, but since lichess classical rating is usually 2300 LM. Well, I mean, dude, you have a serious FIDE rating discrepancy. You know, then you have a FIDE rating that's not relevant to your real strength. But rest assured, you're not the only person in the world. When I started to play in the late 80s, early 90s, there were no FIDE ratings below 2200 except for women who were allowed to be down to 2000. So there was like literally no FIDE ratings under 2000. It was really hard to get a FIDE rating, and in fact, like there were not that many FIDE rated events. In many countries, there still are not. So I'm not a big advocate of FIDE, but it's the only international rating system that we can really count on. But anyway, you know, if you're 2300 on lichess, your FIDE rating is 1600. I mean, you just have a totally bogus FIDE rating that's nowhere close to what your real strength is, which is probably good for maybe winning some money in some tournaments somewhere, I guess. I mean, maybe if you were unlucky, got hammered by a couple really strong 2000 players. I don't know, but okay, the FIDE ratings are probably 200 points, you know, less inflated than lichess. You know, maybe even 300 points in some cases. Rook e8. Black's solid, but it's like white as a rock here. I mean, I'm not that accustomed to these setups. I usually play fianchetto against wait a minute here. Did I just miss something? Alright, if I had paid attention, I would have played probably bishop takes h4. Though it's still not a walk in the park, I think bishop takes h4 is a strong move. Maybe Muleskinner shouldn't have allowed that. Okay, it would have been a complicated game. I'm not winning because he has double isolated pawns or anything. I might have taken if I had realized. He could have played knight e1. That would be better probably. I was expecting queen takes. He's keeping the queens on the board though. Not a lot to do here really for black especially. What? So I only be 1500 FIDE? Arsenal fan, I guarantee you your FIDE strength is at least 1700. D4. Unbackwardizing his pawn. White has a little bit of like overextension, you know, like he's moved almost all of his pawns, but I'm not really disposed to take advantage of it in this position. I feel like taking on c4. He can take with a piece, even, not to get a bad structure. On the other hand, he could take with the pawn, just let himself have an isolated pawn. It's still a passed pawn. I really don't know. If I take on d4, he takes with the bishop. I have like zero counterplay or threats of any kind. I just have a solid position. I missed the boat with bishop takes h4. I think that would have given me something, at least something to hope for. I really don't know what to do. I'm just gonna have to start choosing moves at random. Here we go with the time pressure again. Camel culture. Yeah, camel culture is pretty good. What's your rating, camel culture? I put camel culture around at least 2100. Well, he's not an NM on the site, right? So he can't be 22. Camel culture is at least like in the high 2000s. I don't know. 2000 USCF. Everybody's underrated. It's a conspiracy. I can play knight b6 here. What does it do? Probably nothing. Alright. Man, this sort of sucks. We would chase his rook back to a less active square. I'll give it that. But I'm going to end up eventually having to take on... I'm going to have to take on d4, but at least his rooks won't be doubled. You know, doing like maximum damage right away. If I had $1 for every game where Muleskinner really played me tight and probably shouldn't lose, I'd have quite a bit of money. But his score is 11 out of 122. He normally has a good game and then will make some kind of time pressure blunder or something. Not to jinx you, Muleskinner, but... Alright, what am I doing? We're avoiding any kind of g7 problems. We're playing pretty conservatively in this game, but he's, you know, he's played well enough, so... Not a setup I really can say I want to play again for a win with the black pieces, honestly. I think I'm going to stick with the fianchetto. Kingside fianchetto against the close Sicilian Grand Prix attack. Winning chances are like negligible here. Thinking of ideas of knight d5, then he like pins me. I'd even trade that off. Not much to do, really. Who? Getting combative. Okay. I have no advantage. I offered a draw here to Muleskinner. It's really like tiny bit better for white, probably. I mean, I don't know. Not really, because his kingside is so open that he can't, you know, easily advance his queenside majority. But I have very like much like null winning chances here, honestly. I didn't see this move queen b5, but it doesn't even do anything. It's dead equal. GRSA, you can't skip the line, dude. You're gonna have to wait your turn. Bob lost his challenge. Bob lost his challenge, and then we're gonna play the rest of the guys as they came. World loser, Ayeste. What is that? Chess Pro. Yeah, I think that Chess Pro should be, judging by the way he played against me, should be like 2,000. No lower than 2,000 FIDE. I would say. Judging by your play, you'd be a damn strong 1,900. But I don't know your game that intimately, but judging by your lichess rating, you should be at least 2,000. You know, I think that's not an exaggeration. I'm not just saying that to make people feel good. I mean, I play people that are like 2,100 and I can beat them pretty easily, you know. I eat 2,100s for lunch on a regular basis. Occasionally they nick me for a draw. Hopefully we'll never lose to another one. Bob playing the Benoni. I'm pretty good at beating weaker players, it looks like. I'm more of a professional at that. Then lately I'm not doing as well against stronger players, but beating the weaker players very consistently. Speaking of stronger players, this is my exact game with Igor Kovalenko last year. Bob must know that. He played 97. Right, against Kovalenko I didn't do it, but I should have played h4. I sat there and I thought for like half an hour, knowing that I'm supposed to play like h4, but I couldn't bring myself to do it against like a 2660 player who used to be over 2,700. I just couldn't pull the trigger on h4. And Bob immediately misplays it. It's not such a bad move, h5, but it's much better to do h6. But if you don't know that, you know, by heart, then I understand h5 is only a slight inaccuracy, probably. Okay, now I'm not sure. Knight g5, I guess. We could just stick the knight on g5. Leave it there for good. That's one approach, anyway. That's the advantage of playing h6. Yeah, Mule Skinner. Well, that happens a lot of times. You know, games with no combinations will be like 0 cent pawn loss. Well, not 0 cent pawn loss. 0 inaccuracies, low cent pawn loss. GRSA man, you're starting to get kind of irritating, dude. You gotta stop trying to force your way into the line, dude. Everybody here is either a subscriber or they're waiting. Alright. Bob just blundered, allowing pawn takes e6. He's got bishop takes c3, which would save mass material loss. I think he has to play bishop takes c3 and knight e5 now. Well, he could take on e6 and then play bishop takes c3 as well. But it's not good. Yeah, you can always subscribe to the channel. It would be nice if some of you guys who are crying and begging to play would actually support the channel. Maybe that would be a cool alternative to complaining that you don't get to play every time. We take on d6 or take on e6 here. This position isn't going to win itself, I guess. We're really not sure which way is better. d6 looks more like it destroys his position. I think this is more destructive. Knight takes e6. He plays queen b6 or something. It's not so bad. Railbird says, what is it that separates 2100 from master level play? More opening knowledge? Maybe like there are a lot of factors. You know, I don't know, I think it's kind of incremental, you know, honestly. It's not like there's some magic thing that happens when you're 2200. I mean, I'm still beating most 2200s, having, you know, progressively more trouble with 23s. I think it's not one thing. You can't say it like that. I mean, It's like they're better at everything. Confidence is key too, you know. To be self-confident makes a big difference in your playing strength. So we're going to play World Loser, Ayeste, Zen Chess. Then we'll play a couple of guests. Bob, 97 is a very, very risky line. You know, I mean, it's been played against me by Alexander Ivanov and Kovalenko, but these guys are like experienced grandmasters who've been over 2,600 FIDE. 97 is not really a safe variation. The Benoni is risky already, as it is, but to play with your knight on an inferior square, I mean, look at who plays it, like Kovalenko, Artashes, Minassian, Alexander Ivanov. These are players who are like provocatively playing this, even though they know it's not as good as knight f6, just to try to be tricky, you know. It's something that you really have to take a close look at that opening. Otherwise, you should just play your knight to f6 normally. World Loser playing the modern defense. I'm going to play e4. Channel is growing. Zen Chess, it's unpredictable. Sometimes we have like 40 viewers on the weekdays. On a Monday morning like this, yeah, it's usually pretty slow. Interesting move by World Loser now. He played c6 like he's trying to set up d5. But again, Bob, I think you should master like the normal Benoni with like knight f6 before you attempt to play sketchy stuff. Knight h6 is another variation that's very similar to knight e7, also dubious. But like, you know, see how the confidence factor comes in. Like, I was afraid to play h4 against the 2700 because even though I know it's good, I felt like you have to really know the lines to play it properly, and I wasn't really booked up on it. I hadn't faced that line in like 15 years. I also played against Zoltan Medved, and that was probably like 10 years ago. But I did have the guts to play h4 against Medved. Slightly different move order. My bishop was on d3 already. But anyways. World Loser playing a funky King's Indian with c6. It's not really a King's Indian technically till he plays knight f6, but can be a kind of modern defense. Yeah, well, it is hard to get the Americans watching at 4:30 in the morning. That's why I do some streams in the morning, some streams in the evening, to kind of balance it out. I'm streaming Monday, Wednesday, and Friday mornings, and then Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday evenings here European time. So that way, you know, everybody can find a day when they can watch. It's obviously hard to catch all my streams if you're in the same time zone. I'm sure you're probably in my time zone and it's possible, but World Loser c6 is kind of unusual, but Blagojevich used to play like this, but you know, he probably wouldn't play c6 so early. I would see this setup from players with just the knights to d7 and e7. I saw one playing game like that in the Zalakaros Open. I don't remember who it was. I think actually a Polish player, ironically, World Loser, playing this line with black. Some Polish IM or something. a5. We could play d5 at some point. I mean, rook b1 is a safe move, getting my rook off the long diagonal. What other options do I have here? World Loser is particularly tough because he's so fast. Yeah, rook b1. I don't know. Rook b1 doesn't seem that relevant. Maybe I should go ahead and bust the d5. We bust the d5, close it up, make it more strategic. Kind of releasing the tension a little bit. But on the other hand, I think that World Loser's most comfortable in very tactical positions. Although yesterday he played a nice endgame against me in our simul. Donex for me. Thank you for the cheer there of 100. Nearly a record. Camel Culture holds the record with 200, but thank you for the 100, man. That's awesome. Rice Cream, American 5 a.m. watcher. Just waking up or going to sleep or not ever? Is it like an all-nighter? We have International Master Spinal Tap sometimes. Watches at 4 a.m. It's raining here. Horrible weather. Now, where loser played c5, so his queenside is really kind of weird. I mean, for a King's Indian type position. He doesn't have flexibility. I can probably play a3 and b4, open it up later on. But it looks like the majority of play is going to be on the king's side in this structure, with both sides, you know, maybe, you know, gunning for f4 or f5. Played f5 straight away. Thinking if I have any way to do something. I mean, knight to g5 is very tempting, obviously. Probably a good move. If I play knight g5, do I take on f5? Knight g5, knight f6. Not that clear. I mean, I also have this square for my knight, potentially. I'd like to blockade on the king side with f5, f4. We take on f5. He takes with the pawn. That's not really a problem. If he takes with the knight, this is more complicated. He's going to get his knight to d4. So this concerns me a bit more. Maybe something like knight to g5, knight f6, f3. And then if h6, knight e6, bishop takes e6, pawn takes e6, then he's getting a knight to d4 anyway. Then there are weird ideas with, well, I could play knight h4 potentially. Then he's got f4, which I'm not in love with. Alright. He's got a 2-minute time advantage, which is usual. Knight e6, bishop takes, pawn takes. He'll get a knight to d4 eventually there. I could play bishop h3 here. Bishop h3, h6, knight e6, takes. Then his f-pawn is sometimes kind of sketchy. Still not an easy decision here what to do. f3 is the safest looking move. I could even retreat my knight, like f3, h6, knight h3. Pawn takes pawn, pawn takes pawn. Feels a little bit passive, but I've got to make a decision. Chess makes you poor. Well, that's an interesting concept. Not in Susan Polgar's case. You know, but it depends on how much you love money. I think that's the key, you know. My friend Elon Schwartz quit chess due to perpetual brokenness and then final table the World Series of Poker. He was like, dude, I can't play chess anymore because I'm always broke. Then he won like $4 million. Now he can play chess all he wants. But, well, I don't know. You know, the cause and effect is not really clear. Yeah, I guess the suicide rate among Hollywood stars is pretty high. But anyway, how did you guys get on this discussion of money anyway? The big question now, the key moment, knight h3 or knight e6? Knight e6, take, knight c6. Then I could play something like knight to d5, it gets super weird. Whereas with knight h3 we just keep the structure. And he's going to be playing g5, kind of messing with me. I think the knight h3 may just be too passive. Now, this is a ridiculous position to me. I mean, he's basically playing with like this totally wasted move over here, a5. Has nothing to do with life. It should be a decent bayonet King's Indian for white. But there is no way I'm going to stop, you know, knight getting to d4. We just have to deal with it. We could take on f5. And it's kind of difficult for him to protect that other than knight d4, which is going to be the real question. Bishop h3. I don't know. I don't have a lot of time, so I'm going to just play this in a practical way. Perhaps rook f1 now. Guarding. Guarding the f3 square. Just have to basically play blitz. How many noteworthy chess games have I memorized? I've never been a slave to memorization. I mean, I think that I just memorize them subconsciously. I never try to memorize games. I don't think I know any top grandmasters who memorize games. I mean, Magnus Carlsen may claim that, but there's really not that much benefit in memorizing complete games. Maybe parts of games, openings, you know, end games, but the complete games themselves, this is just like some sort of showmanship. That's like learning by memorization. Okay. What am I doing here? Getting crushed by world loser 3-4 consecutive times? Can I say consecutive? Is that a word? I guess we're going to lose an exchange. Seen it all. He just instantly saw everything. He's beat me like 4 out of the last 5 games. Three of the last 4. It's a pretty good record. So he has 2 pawns for the exchange. Maybe I have something. Taking that knight eventually. Just like his time usage is like crushing me. Always. Alright. His score recently is quite good. I have rook e1 now. Take queen d3. Maybe rook e1 is stronger. He's basically trying to blitz me as usual. I don't know a single grandmaster who memorizes games. That sounds insane to me. I don't think it would even be that beneficial. Maybe specific parts of the game. No human being could memorize 10,000 games. That's just totally made up. World Loser, fake news. World Loser is coming to get me. It's got everything protected. It's like playing God. He's so strong, it's just ridiculous. Ever since he stopped being a moderator, he just started to crush me every game. Alright, if you can't be nice in the chat, you're banned. World Loser is getting carried away in blitz mode again. I'm like thinking about that pawn on f5, but it really should be like my last focus. Maybe I'll take it now. Take the c pawn second, just to secure the f3 pawn, like bishop here or something. World Loser just played too fast. His one. But Bob, please don't provoke anybody in the chat. You know, I didn't really see what you said, but the other guy was just kind of rude, but I hope you didn't do anything to provoke him. I don't want you guys like fighting and arguing in my stream. Whatever it's about, it detracts from the stream. If you want to like have a discussion on CNN political forums or something, that's fine with me, but this is not the place for it, to argue with other people. So I'm just trying to teach people how to play chess here. It detracts from my concentration too. So if you guys don't get enough of the arguing you can get on the internet, there's lots of places to do it. I can recommend like 100 for all of you. Now we've got an interesting endgame here, which may well be a draw, but it's tricky, and not sure I even played it right. Probably just screwed it up pretty bad. Hopefully it's not too late. Yeah, World Loser's playing perfectly. Here he goes with the perfect endgame again. I don't know if I can mess this up any worse. than I did, basically. I let his king get completely out of control. He played a great endgame against me yesterday as well. He's very, very good with his king activation. I let his king get down to e3. With no time, he played perfectly. This was an excellent defense by black. There must be a way to draw this. Looks like a draw. I mean, I just don't have any moves. Play f6. He comes behind, attacks my pawn, ties me down to this pawn. And if I go f7, he goes back to b4. Feels like it has to be a draw. If I get my king to h7, pawns on f7 and g6, and then his king is on like f5, f6. This is forced. How about if I play king h7? That's not going to help my cause, is it? Well, it keeps him off of f6. I'm going to lose on time. Can I lose? I can technically get mated, right? So I would lose on time here. I'm actually winning. There's got to be a way to draw that for black, though. I was like 100% sure this was a draw. I was praising his endgame and his speed, but I guess if it's not perfect, he should have taken more time. I thought it was a draw for sure. If his king was on f6 already, and he plays bishop f8, then it's a draw, right? Or not? If his king is on f6 already, let me see this. Okay, so it is a draw. I thought it has to be a draw. Has to be a draw. Come on, f6. This is the blunder. It makes sense to go there to attack my pawn, but apparently he has to do it with the king. He just attacked my pawn with the wrong thing. f7, bishop e7. No way to make progress. So just too fast. We're a loser. Too fast for your own good. All right, I'm going to finish the subscriber challenges. Then we'll have time for a couple of viewers. Mastermind 14, Arthur, Beer Boy. We lost somebody, didn't we? Wasn't there another person challenging that went away? GRSA man, dude. Please don't complain anymore. Alright. I can't physically make you get here when my stream starts. That's up to you, you know. But you could subscribe and be able to play, or you could just show up here when the stream starts. But I'm starting to get tired of the complaining, dude. It's really irritating. Okay, knight to c6, castles, bishop d7. This is a main line, Rossalimo. You gotta go. All right. Well, all right, man. Good luck. No, I'm sorry you can't play, but you can't just skip ahead of other people. Mastermind, Arthur, Beer Boy, and then that'll probably round out the challenges today. Give him detention. Dude, don't patronize, man. I appreciate everybody who's kids, grandmothers. You know, I started chess when I was like in 7th grade, basically. I wouldn't want people like patronizing me, but I just can't I can't accommodate everyone. C3, hold on a second here. Ayesta is trying to mess with me with the move order. C3, knight f6, d4, knight takes, e4. That's okay. That's different. This will be a pawn sack. I mean, if he wants to play d4, he can probably play it as a pawn sack. I'm not sure what the deal is. Some guy named Teampolt was spamming in Discord something about argument with me. Dude, the guy was like calling people retards and morons in my stream, so I banned him. That's what you do to people like that, Rook e1. We don't call people those things in my stream. I mean, if you want to have an argument, have it somewhere else. And you're not going to insult other people in my stream. Or me, especially. He didn't attack me, so it may be surprising that I banned him, but just like, we don't need that kind of negative people. That's alright, dude. Standard ban. Nothing unusual. Nothing here. Move along, people. H3, bishop h5. I'm a little tired of playing bishop takes f3, I guess. I think you've convinced me that variation is not really what it's cracked up to be. I don't have time to babysit. Yeah, I don't have time to babysit people in my stream. They should go to CNN Political Forum, some other wonderful site. The real instigator of the argument remains unbanned. Yeah, but was he using like offensive terms? I mean, that's the thing. And Bob chilled out. I asked him to stop, and he did. So. But I mean, if people are going to call each other offensive names, I'm going to ban them immediately. Instigating an argument is one thing, I'm not going to insta-ban you for that. Zen Chess. But when you start insulting other people, I will. That's different. Maybe it was a stupid thing to do to instigate an argument or whatever, but at least if you stop after a while, I won't ban you, But if you use offensive insults targeted at other people in the stream, I'm not going to even give you a second chance. And I'm an obnoxious alcoholic. Well, nothing wrong with being an alcoholic, but I don't discriminate against alcohol. I like a lot of alcoholics, so don't go there. But obnoxious is even tolerable. But I think he was pushing the boundaries of like discriminatory comments. So. Alright, enough comments about the trolls. World Loser is not a moderator any longer, so he can concentrate on beating me on time. See, you guys were distracting him from fulfilling his true purpose in life, which is to beat me in my own stream and to do it by concentrating fully. I think he had to give up his moderator focus to concentrate more on just taking me out. A4, a long time ago I had a game with Maxim Turov, but he didn't, I don't think he might have played A4 actually. There was something with queen b3. Slow. It was later. I don't remember if I castled first or not. Nothing wrong with the alcohol comment. Well, I hate that people, you know, discriminate against me because I'm an alcoholic, you know. I'm not saying, I mean, if I were to be an alcoholic, would it be correct to discriminate against me because of that? It's just like judging people, you know. I mean, it's not like it's a crime or something. I mean, holier than thou attitudes by people, you know. Bishop g2. This is kind of an unusual move, actually, in these setups. Although I was thinking about d5, and I think bishop g2 does have potential on the long diagonal. Not really sure what I'm supposed to do now. Looks like Ayesta has studied this. I guess this does make way for knight f1. I don't know if I'm supposed to play d5 or not. Strategically, d5 is right, but there's a question of the white square control. If he plays g5 at some point, and then I'll have to force my knight out to h5, am I going to have some kind of problems? It's kind of a tough call. Queen c7. I'm afraid he's just going to overrun me with d4. That's maybe not an issue. Okay, queen c7 is a move. That will actually lessen my control of d5, though. Let's just do it. I'm tired of thinking about it. Well, yeah, I don't want to like, yeah, I don't want to discriminate against people on basis of mental illness. You know, that's definitely one thing I take issue with. E5 I don't know about. I guess it's not a bad move. He could play knight f1 and then knight to g3. Troll force 1. Alright, what are we going to do here? b5, the standard stuff. I guess I could have played queen c7, piled onto e5. I'm not really sure what I did here on the queen side. Maybe this was a mistake to let him play like take, 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 and some weird c4 type of thing. It would be complicated. So I'm thinking maybe I rushed it a little bit. Getting distracted with this really ridiculous troll chat instead of focusing on the chess game. That's the problem when we get a lot of viewers. We get some bad ones with the good. Dude, we call me everything. Bill, William, Will, Slaggy. That guy who sucks at bullet or just doesn't play bullet, right? Anyways, I try to be educational. I wouldn't do this like otherwise, you know. Some people just stream chess so they can be on the webcam and have other people watch them because they like being watched, you know. But honestly, I want to do something constructive. You know, that's my goal. So I wouldn't waste my time just doing anything else. If it wasn't, I wouldn't do this if I wasn't trying to be really instructive and constructive about it. Now knight to g3. All right, so we go c4, queen c7, bishop f4. There's the queen c7, bishop f4 thing, and then like f6, pawn takes f6, queen takes f4, pawn takes e7. That's probably kind of a mess for me. b4, c4. Whoa. I'm running out of time. I'm just going to close it down. And then just rip them apart on the b file, I guess. The question is, do I have enough, you know, I'm letting him play d4. Do I have enough to guarantee breakthrough on the queen side? This move was not anticipated, and it's definitely non-standard. I mean, it looks like he should play d4 and try to live with just like one weak point on c3. Try to do something on the king side. This way looks like I've got squares for my pieces. Maybe I missed something, but his pawns are kind of separated, you know. His pawn on e5 is separated from the rest. He doesn't have a strong pawn chain. That seems weird to do that. I mean, so I expected d4 when I'm gonna have to break through with like b4 and hope that I can break through. He basically has just the one weak point on c3, you know, so it's hard for me to put that much pressure on that one point. And maybe he can do something on the king side to get some play. But I don't like d takes c. Why dedicate so much time to teaching people chess with so little in return? Well, I mean, I've got to make, you know, make myself established as a known entity. So it's not completely, you know, selfless. I want to be, you know, one of the best chess teachers I can be. Especially if I have like multiple personalities. But it's not a selfless thing. I'm a very selfish person. Knight c5. Lots of holes. But the big anchor at d3 is going to mess with him seriously. You know, if I want to be a successful chess teacher, I have to be, you know, known in the online chess community. It's not just being saint-like. You know, I mean, there's knight b3 now, just winning the exchange. That's enough for my purposes. It's a disaster. He should not have taken on c4. But he'll learn from this. He'll learn from this experience. We've got half an hour left. I'm going to play Zen Chess, Trouts, Mastermind. Before Mastermind, I had to wait forever. We've got like, you guys, you subscribers are sneaking in. Bishop d3. Just bishop c5 first. We'll just trade pieces. He actually has to watch the b2 pawn. Just a totally lost position for white. I ought to be a little bit careful about how I do it though, huh? Watch my king side now. I left the g5 square vulnerable. It's a little hard to break through. I could triple on the b file. I guess that's the natural way to do this. Leave my bishop back on e7. Immediately he's messing with me now. He's got knight g3, maybe here, knight g5. I've got a great square for my queen. It looks like, that looks like the, what's it called? The Wilkes-Barre variation. Oh, DST. You're fluorescent green. It's hard to read. It's the best way to do this. We've got taken and rook b3. What's up, DST? You're in New Zealand. Yeah, I wish I had more time to work on on YouTube videos. I would like to improve mine. But I'm really just trying to get by, you know, teaching lessons, and I don't have a lot of free time. Please check out my YouTube channel though when you get a chance. I upload all the streams there. I will occasionally create some new content. Video chess training on YouTube. I would like to make a new video every week, but I haven't had the time to do it lately. I'm working on another project for another website on an opening video at the moment. Rook takes f3 and it's over. Mates. The classic mate with the bishop and queen. Alright, let's see. Zen Chess, Trout snuck in here. I'm going to try to get in all these challenges that I have. Don't anybody else challenge me. I'm going to play these remaining challenges based on tournaments you played and the thought process behind every move. Yeah, well, I mean, dude, I could do like a 2-hour video on like one game, but people would get bored of that. I'm actually getting complaints a lot of times that my videos should be shorter. Okay, the 2-hour ones for the streams are really long, but I think that the optimal YouTube channel are like 30 minutes, you know. But of course, that's if you're thinking about it from like the advertising standpoint, and the number of views. I guess, like, you know, less people will watch them, but more people will intensely like get something out of it if I make longer videos. But it's also a lot of work if I do like 2-hour or hour videos. I mean, I could definitely talk about one game for like an hour, no problem. I do that in my lessons sometimes. Zen Chess, we had the same exact variation last time, didn't we? Was it? It was the same, right? I played knight e1, and I looked it up consequently. And d3 is more common, but I don't like d3. I mean, honestly, I like knight e1 better. I don't see what the big deal is with d3. I remember losing to Patrick Wolf in a blitz game like 8 million years ago with like d3, take, knight d7. He just played like knight d7 and knight c5. Patty. Mather Yelich doing 5-minute videos. Five-minute videos, yeah, that's the way to go, man. I mean, you can get like lots of viewers, huh? So I looked this up, Zen Chess, and there was just a couple of games in this position. We played the exact same position. Some strong player, 1 or 2 strong players had played exactly like Zen Chess. Now I played knight c2, which I think was a new move, but I don't remember what the alternative is really. Bishop d2 or something. My knight is sort of ridiculous on e1. I mean, it could potentially go out to f3 again after f4, but I have to get rid of that bishop on c5. Zen Chess took on d5 with his bishop here, which I honestly thought it was a kind of bad move in our previous game. Poker videos of spin and goes. You know me, man. I'm an expert on spin and goes. Dude, I like quit Poker Stars because all they have are like spin and goes. They destroyed their site. But I guess the whole like poker world sort of sucks now. A6. This is a new move. He played bishop takes d5 last time. Spin and goes are like that's like 5-minute YouTube videos on chess. It's just the same thing basically. Total shit. No content. Alright. Rook b1 is useful anyway. He doesn't have any b5. So I could play b4. Certainly. We may go back into bishop takes d5 again. He could do that at any moment as well. I'm not really sure what I'm doing. I mean, this bishop on a7 is starting to piss me off. You can't get rid of it. I mean, I could do a weird move like bishop e3 probably. So he gives up his white squared bishop again. This is similar to what happened last time. But different, because last time, you know, I was considering like d4 as an option. Now I pretty much have to play e4. He gets to play c6 and his position is okay. And I've weakened myself with b4 on the queen side, which I'm not really sure what that achieved. Zenchess, have you gone up in rating, or are you about the same? I can't remember. The bishop on a7 is a strong piece. Black seems okay here. I don't think I've achieved anything with b4. It just seems like a waste of time. Weakening my queen side with no point. Good. Very good. I mean, okay, I can do a4. What am I gaining, really, like, with this? Like, does this have a point? He took with a pawn. I'm surprised by that. You know, I really thought he was going to take with a knight like he did last time and drop a knight on d4. This is some other matter altogether now. I think the white is better here. I'm very surprised he did that. Not like I have a huge advantage, but I mean, the structure gives me a lot more possibilities. Possibilities. Bishop on c1, you know, people are always like, where do I put my bishop? You don't put it anywhere, man. Like on the white side of the English, it's already developed. It's on c1. It's developed. How about, you know, king h1, we play it like a king's Indian attack. Not all that much different from my last game with Zenchess. Trading pieces does not inspire me. You know, something like bishop e3. That's a very defensive way to play here. If you do that move, you know, you're selling out your own bishop pair. I think our best chance is to go for it. King's Indian attack style. The only poker I'm playing DST is like a cash game once a week. No time for online. Poker was like all I did for 6 years. Even longer, technically. But I wasted and lost a lot of time for chess. I really kind of regret it. I hate to regret anything, you know. You can always regret everything, but you know, one might argue that I might have made a significant amount of progress in chess in that time I spent on poker. Probably the most important part of my life. Alright, man, we're going for it here, baby. We're going for the bishops and the King's Indian attack. We've got something. It looks pretty interesting. Zenchess. I think his position is playable, but b takes c was an unnecessary destabilization, you might say. Knight takes was much cleaner, and he was safe in that line. I am going to honor these last two challenges, Beerboy and Trouts. We lost someone. We did have another challenge if they come back. I have a very interesting move here, rook b3. Lateral play and keeping him off of d3. It's actually very hard for black to control the white squares in this position. Having no white square bishop. Because I think he's going to play rook d8 and this rook anyway. Beautiful mobilization. It's much more common to transfer the rook like on the second rank in the English, but he's just gonna blockade. He's inducing f5 to just set up a concrete dark square blockade. And the open file, does lend itself to, you know, a situation where it's hard for me to like land a really crushing direct kingside attack, because there's always this stuff with him just invading along the open file. So it's like a distraction. I can't just attack him on the king side. I can try, you know, like f5, knight e7, g4, but he might be able to just simply lock it up. Knight to e3 is interesting. Probably black has several moves there on knight e3. But again, f5. Also f takes e. I can also consider bishop to b2. But I can't seem to put, like, increase the pressure. I can't put increased pressure on him. Great defense. Defensive knight g6. It's an ugly move, but hard to break it down. This reminds me of a game I had in May where the other guy like chopped my knight on e3. I almost jumped like at the board because I just never in my wildest dreams I thought he was going to take my knight. It's not the same position though. I mean, in that position it really wasn't absolutely necessary to chop my knight. Here it's more it would be more understandable. Now, I mean, Zen chess may have something tricky in mind here. I don't know. I'm not a computer, so I don't see anything super crazy. If f3, queen takes f3, and I'd have knight takes h6 ideas, or knight takes g7 sometimes. Looks like he's trying to set up cheapos with like queen takes f5 or something. Just massive pressure on my pawn on e4. Wow. We can probably manage. I can play rook e1 if I have to. I can also play knight g3 if I have to. But neither of those moves are moves I really want to play in this position. I can also play bishop b2. That might be the best of all. Bishop b2. Knight takes e4. Knight takes g7. Knight f2 check. Rook takes f2. Queen takes queen. I lose material. That's unfortunate. If only I had rook b3. More lateral attacking ideas. I'm pretty sure I have a good position here, but I'm going to need to calculate. And I don't really have that much time. Bishop b2, knight takes e4, rook a e1. That's stupid. Dropping my knight. Alright, never mind. We need to just make either rook e1 or knight g3. Damn. He's got a minute more than me. Very tense position. Everything aiming at my king's side. Everything of mine aiming at him. My bishop should give me the advantage, but it's hard to move anything. I guess my next move would be rook b3. But now he has like rook d8, setting up some kind of weird back rank tactics. I can always play h3. To constantly counter various tactical ideas for black here. Like that. It's an amazing move. He's got 30 seconds more. Tactics. Only tactics for black. No tactics for white. Okay, this move I'm just gonna make a bad move. That was weak. I should just play bishop d2 all day long there. But now everything's guarded. My back rank's guarded. I was concerned about the queen sacrifice earlier. Queen for rook and knight with initiative for black. He might have had something there. But now everything's protected. And his knight is hanging. So he has to like backpedal. We should be better now. I do have a lot of attacking chances now. Wow. I think you just forgot about that. So, what about this queen sacrifice you could have played a few moves ago? Best move. I was terrified of this. Pawn takes, rook takes, bishop f1. I was looking at knight h4, but apparently that's not the best move. You have knight takes f4. Anyway, complicated game, man. Trouts and then Beer Boy finish off the stream today. Get an overwhelming advantage in the beginning. I wish it was that easy. So Mr. Trout, let's play something classical for a change. I'm usually playing Sicilian. Trout's against the Petrov defense. He probably doesn't face this very often. You know, if you're like 1870 on... Actually, by the way, Queen e7 is an interesting move here. I was looking at that with somebody recently. Computer kind of likes Queen e7. That's the, if you take the opening book off of the computers, what they would play. Even like 20 years ago, I used to run simulations with one engine against another, and it was really fun to watch them play when they didn't have an opening book, because that way, like, one's opening book might be better than the other, or they would just play the same openings over and over again. And I really enjoyed watching these games where they would do like Queen e7. But anyway, okay, we'll go into a mainline Petrov. It's a pretty solid, somewhat passive defense for black, the Petrov, by nature. Yeah, Zen Chess, I didn't see knight takes f4. I saw knight h4, which is more disturbing because it's like attacking my queen. There must be something wrong with that move, though. The knight h4. The computer didn't even consider it. That was kind of a typical struggle in those type of positions, what I just had with Zen Chess. It was more like a King's Indian attack than an English. It was almost like a Tory attack, King's Indian attack thing. Don't you have to play crazy openings to get an advantage? It's the best way to get a disadvantage, actually. I like to be a little bit crazy in the opening, but not extremely so. I like to avoid main lines if I can. Trout's beat me our first game, and now he's got like zeros after that. Start strong. A completely tactical game. I'm not really like a player who focuses on tactics, you know. I'm kind of opportunistic that way. I believe in and I teach an approach that is based on accumulation of advantages, a la like Botvinnik, you know, and that's how, well, I mean, Botvinnik trained Kasparov and other great players. Kasparov ended up playing a lot of very tactical positions, but he still trained in the Botvinnik school. But I mean, you know, I don't specialize in tactics. Some players focus on tactics. You can get to 2200 with just tactics, you know, and probably like zero positional play. But I think you have a big hole in your game if you do that. It's often hard to correct. So start with a very fundamental basis, and then, you know, later you can get better and better tactically. Aren't tactics more satisfying? I don't think so. How hard would it be for you to play like Richard Rapport? Well, actually, you know, I've only played Richie the one game where I beat him. But I've watched some of his games, and he likes to show off this flamboyant, crazy style. But behind that, there is just a really well-trained, excellent positional player. You've got to understand. If you like look at some of his games, you know, I think that Rapport's young and he wants to look really cool playing these crazy things. But as he matures, I think you're going to see a more solid kind of correct player emerge. But he's got great creativity. Trouts, you're thinking too long here. There's a couple different things you can do. You can play bishop e2. You can take on d5, I think. That's like another line. But bishop e2 is the main move. Guys, we've got time for one more game. I'm going to play against Beer Boy. We lost GRSA, as we know. We lost someone else, too. But anyway, it's time to close down the stream after that. But I think that Rapport, if he would just chill out, you know, and play really normally, he would even do better, you know, than he's done. Like last Olympiad, he was like a disgrace for the Hungarian team. I mean, he was just losing to everybody, and he was playing crazy stuff. Okay, in an individual tournament if you want to do that, dude, but don't do it in a team tournament. I mean, you can't have the guy playing board 1 and playing like a maniac. Leko would have been better, but he refused to play in the last Olympiad in Azerbaijan because his wife is Armenian. Or wasn't allowed to play or something like that. Castles. Leko's definitely the player you would want to have on board 1 for the Hungarian team. I mean, Almaty, Leko, and Rapport are all around the same rating. But Leko's so stable. He could draw anybody on board 1. Let the other guys win a game or 2. Okay, Trouts. Yeah, this is a line 2. Nah, not really. Maybe it would transpose. Maybe it will transpose. But I think I just play bishop e7 here. Although, I've got to think about this for a second. Right, okay. Yeah, I don't remember the theory on this. I saw Zlatko, my friend, once play a game against Christian Sabo. Zlatko actually sacks his d-pawn and doesn't take back on d5. He just played like knight d6 or something weird. But white structure pretty much sucks there, so I guess it's a long-term pawn sacrifice that's valid. See, the problem is if I take pawn takes, queen takes, white could play rook e1, and then maybe bishop f5. Actually, I don't see anything. I think the way the Sabo Ilincic game went, though, was like c takes d, knight takes d3, check, queen takes. But I'm still not understanding why black wouldn't take on d5 there. He would take on d5. No, I don't remember. Maybe it was this position. That's weird. I mean, I want to take the pawn back if I can take it back. Pawn takes, queen takes, knight c3, knight takes c3, b takes c3. I wonder, can you do pawn takes, queen takes, knight c3, knight takes c3, rook e1 check, then bishop e6 or something. But this move is really passive for white, knight to d2. So with that move, there's no way white has anything. Now we can play any number of moves. Knight f6, 2 of them to be exact. Knight f6 or knight d2. I guess you could do something crazy like f5, but I don't like weakening my position. I like to set a good example with my play. That's why I don't do crazy stuff, as was suggested. Oh, I just hung a pawn. Yep, I just hung a pawn. Alright, Trouts. Well, anyway, it'll be interesting. Good job, man. You won a pawn. I'm supposed to play knight f6 first, but I castled first. Alright. Anyway, I meant to play here. Forgot. It's getting late. It's 12:30. I'm getting loopy. Talking in circles. I could just take on d2 with a slightly better position. Just take on d2 and play castles. Yeah, knight d6 supports bishop f5. That's what Zlatko did in the game against Christian Sabo. But it got really complicated and weird, you know, like one of these Panov things where you like have white has double pawns on e4 and d5 or d4 and d5. Here I have a tiny bit of compensation, but it's pretty much unsound. What I just did, pretty much unsound. So Trout's got a free pawn. And I don't like my game here. We're in bad shape. We're down a pawn without adequate compensation. I've got one more quick game against Beer Boy I'm going to play, and then we're going to pack it in. But Trouts, I want to see you exploit this advantage. I actually hate bishop f6. I wanted to play rook e8, but I didn't like rook e1. I didn't see a good move for me there. I'm like tied down to b7 and tied down to the rook on e8 as well. And we're possibly playing like c6, I guess, would be my best move. I'm not crazy about that either. Like c6, rook e1, where do I go? You know, bishop d6. He starts to have things like knight to g5. Though it's not the end of the world. It looks unpleasant for black. So now Trout's played bishop e3. It's a little passive. That's good for me. Instead, you can play rook e1. You could play knight e5, maybe. But he is developing a piece, so I can't really criticize this too badly. But I feel like my two bishops now start to look pretty good, actually. So we've got compensation that we didn't formerly have. That's fortunate. I just sort of hallucinated and castled. I didn't mean to lose a pawn. I do some weird stuff. Yesterday I resigned in a winning king and pawn endgame. Pretty obviously winning one. And I hallucinated that I was losing. People were like, why did you resign? Well, I thought I was losing. Bishop takes d4. We're just taking our pawn back. I don't see anything else. Trouts is even a little bit on the defensive now. We've got active rook, active queen, better minor piece. Thanks for watching, guys. Yeah, I only watch girly movies. Rook fe1. If we just talk about war movies, we're never going to get any like girls to watch the stream. I don't know, man. This masculine chess scene is just, it's getting old. Male dominant chess scene. All right. I want to make sure that I have no back rank mate problems. Very solid move from Trouts. Nice. I like this. I like this a lot. I don't like it, but I like it, you know, from the perspective of like a teacher, you know, this is a good move to see from white. He's keeping coordinated. He's going to block my play. E3 will even like defend G2 potentially. I guess it's just a tiny advantage for black now, based on bishop versus knight. You know, a strong grandmaster can put some pressure on white here in this ending. Hopefully I can as well. His pawns on the white squares, at least I can attack them. But it, you know, it should be possible for white to hold a draw here. His disadvantage is not that significant. But not that easy either against an experienced player, I guess. Rook d1. Didn't play rook d1. Trout's lost on time. We have a micro advantage. Come on, Stockfish, spit it out. No micro advantage? Seriously? Queen f3, queen d7 equal with bishop versus knight and those pawns on white squares? You got to give me a 0.1. Yeah, see, it's waking up. No. It's oh, come on, it's 0.1. There it is. I have an advantage. We're going to play Beer Boy. That's the last challenge for today. Sorry, Misha. I got to go. Beer Boy was waiting. Alright. Last challenge for today, guys. We're running late. Beer Boy. I've been working on playing G3 against the Slav, something totally new and different. 99% of my opponents transposed to the Grunfeld, which wasn't really what I had in mind, but Bishop f5 is something different. Now, we're transposing to another line I do know. The London system. Guys, thanks for watching. We're going to be back tomorrow night with a viewer tournament. I'll host a viewer tournament 5+2 blitz on lichess at 7 p.m. tomorrow. What am I doing here? Queen b3, queen b6, d3. Why is it so hard to find a move I like in this position? Huh. I guess I have to play b3 now. Do a double fianchetto. I mean, I don't have to, but that's what works best with my repertoire, I guess. The classic Reti. Vyacheslav Asnos. A6, not really a standard move here. Usually you'll see A5 from black, holding up b4. But I guess, you know, you can do anything. Black's position is relatively solid. So tomorrow night, 7 p.m., viewer tournament on lichess, 5+2 time control. Wednesday and Friday have blitz streams. Thursday night is my subscriber stream, where I do game analysis and more blitz with subscribers. Alright, now what? Maybe we'll just play e4. Make him trade off his center. My queen is on the wrong square now, in a sense. I need to get it to a place where it's not a problem. The D file is relevant. Though I don't know if this is the right rook. I could move my other rook to D1. I'm not crazy about the symmetrical structure. It could lend itself to being drawish later on. I really like imbalance if I can get it when I'm playing for a win. Is double knights preferable to knight and bishop? It can be, Bob. Oftentimes, two knights is better to have two knights against two bishops than it is to have like bishop and knight against two bishops. The knights can be better and easier to coordinate together. That's the key point. So now, I was thinking queen c3. Can like migrate our queen over to out of the pin territory. But it's not that simple because he has this a lot of pressure on my e4 pawn. Looks like I can't do it straight up. Alright, we'll reinforce, overprotect the strong point. Nimzovich. You know, another way to break the pin would be to put my queen on the long diagonal, like queen b1, queen a1, or queen c3, or bishop c3, queen b2. But I kind of regret playing e4 straight away. I feel like the symmetry is easier to play than the position with more tension on the board. Okay, it's a fast time control, 5+3. Yeah, the knights need outpost squares. But as I said, I feel like they work together better, more easily than the bishop and knight. Okay, this is a concession. If he's going to give up his bishop here. We could take with a rook or with a knight. If rook takes, then knight to c5, I can play bishop takes f6, smashing his kingside structure, which is probably pretty difficult for black. The knight takes is more like safe strategic recapture. We can go knight f1, knight to e3, this. Or maybe c5, knight c4 into d6, if we can get it. You know, like c5, knight c5, now b4 is awful for black. That's why he should have played a5, among other things. Now he's facing this very serious real threat of c5 and his existential life will be threatened with that pretty seriously. His existence as a chess position, yeah, I mean c5 gives me the monster space advantage, really. If I get an outpost on d6, it's usually over. Is Tartikover or someone who said that? A knight on the 6th. Usually decisive. I don't remember the exact quote, but that's been my experience anyway. Rarely do you survive with the opponent having an outposted piece on your 6th rank. Why not queen takes? The only benefit of queen takes is that it gets the queen out of the pin, but I would lose my e4 pawn. Oh, I wouldn't, because of d7 being attacked. You could theoretically take with the queen, but I don't feel like my knight is very well placed on f3 as it was. You know, this helps to reinforce my e4 pawn. So the knight maneuver is actually a good one in any case. Fortunately, now we have to think. b4 is a little different. You know, now my pawn becomes isolated and kind of weak there. My intention was to take. If he takes with the knight, again, I can try to break his pawn structure. This way, we've got mad squares for the pieces. Everything is like working. Now, the only thing I can't do is play e5 because the bishop on h7. So, looking for queen c3. We're looking for the outpost square on d6. Is it, you know, maybe it's not supported enough. Now he's got bad structure too. These pawns are weak. So, I mean, my position is excellent all around. You know, somebody was talking about, once in my travels, one master was talking about chess positions and thinking about them as like living organisms. And I thought, I'm not a really scientific kind of person. I never really liked biology, but it's an interesting concept, you know. If you treat the position like it was a living organism, I mean, or we could treat them like video games. You know, how many hit points or health points does my position have? You know, it's pretty healthy. Think about the position as a whole, as an organic like thing, you know. The white position is really a lot healthier than the black position here. Knight to d6. He has knight d6, knight b6. I want to play queen c3. Maybe b4 even. Knight d6, knight b6. Then I can play bishop takes f6 and wreck his king side, among other things. Wow, he had this intermezzo planned. I missed it. Good job, man. I'll just have to retract my knight and start over again. Only a temporary setback. We'll just have to try something else. It didn't work. Maybe I had some kind of exchange sacrifice there I didn't see. I don't know, but I don't want to trade pieces, really, here. Yeah, that's it. Surprise checkmate, and I feel like a kind of cheapo artist, but that's a part of the position, so he forgot about it. Alright guys, that's a good way to end the stream with a cheapo. International Master Willam Paschall, aka Cheapo Artist, signing off for today. I will see you guys tomorrow. It's tomorrow night, 7 p.m. CEST, summertime here in Europe, and 5+2 Blitz in classical. Sorry, 5+2 Blitz viewer tournament tomorrow night. I'm getting a little bit tired. No one ever won a game by resigning. Yeah. Alright, so thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.